So beaming Elena Kagan getting a standing ovation in the East Room of the White House. Whether her confirmation hearing will be as smooth remains to be seen, but she has now been nominated to replace Justice John Paul Stevens on the U.S. Supreme Court. Solicitor General, former dean of Harvard Law School, and of course a former professor at the University of Chicago as well, a professor who taught our chief legal correspondent, Jan Crawford. Jan, tell us what your impressions were as a student of Elena Kagan's.
Well, she was just starting out, Katie, as a young professor, and she was incredibly dynamic. She was one of the most well-liked professors, very challenging, but in the classroom, she was very engaging with the students. And we see some of those same qualities now when she's arguing cases before the Supreme Court. She keeps it light, but she's serious. She's engaging with the justices. And as we heard President Obama say just now, it is, I think, those qualities that the White House believes she will take onto that Supreme Court and be a very effective justice. Her ability to engage with people, those people skills, will make her, they think, a consensus builder.
And Jan, as we heard the president say, he praised her understanding of the law as it will affect the lives of ordinary people. You know, oftentimes in these confirmation hearings, people are described, or nominees are described, as either strict constructionists or judicial activists. Certainly, she seems to fall into the latter category.
Well, you hear conservatives talk about strict constructionists, and that's what a conservative justice would be, someone who looks really closely at only the words of the Constitution. It's conservatives who actually refer to liberals as activists because they think they go too far in reading the Constitution. Now, Elena Kagan is a moderate liberal, and so to call her an activist, I think, would be really a stretch for some of even the Republicans. She's got a lot of conservative support. Conservatives will testify, some of her colleagues, at her confirmation hearings. So I don't think you're going to be hearing many people tag her as an activist.
How big a role, Jan, do you think gender played in this? I know Sandra Day O'Connor has spoken about the need for another woman on the high court, and the National Association of Women Judges sent the president a letter urging him to in fact nominate another woman. Do you think this was a key factor?
I don't think it was the key factor, but I think it was certainly one that went into the overall mix. I think the main factor was her youth. At 50, she'll be on that court for a really long time. And her ability, like I said, to build those coalitions. It's a group of 9 people. Sometimes back in the old days, people call the court, 9 scorpions in a bottle. It's a pretty hard place to navigate. They're not lacking in ego up there. But certainly it was a plus that she's a woman. And as you said, Justice O'Connor has always said there should be not, just 1 or 2 or even 3 women on the court. Maybe someday we'll have even 4 or 5.
All right, Jan Crawford. Jan, thanks so much. Let's go to Bob Schieffer, who is our expert in all things political. Bob, do you think a rocky confirmation process is before Elena Kagan? We've already seen some conservatives come out swinging about the fact that she didn't allow military recruiters onto the campus at Harvard because of her opposition to don't ask, don't tell. What do you think is likely to happen?
A very contentious and probably at times nasty confirmation hearing, not because of Elena Kagan and who she is. I think, as you saw there, she is quite compelling, and certainly she is eminently qualified. This is an election year, Katie, and it is a very toxic election year. You saw over the weekend that Bob Bennett, the very conservative Republican senator from Utah, lost the Republican nomination out in his home state because people there, including a lot of Tea Party people, thought he was not conservative enough. I think you're going to see it very difficult for Republicans to vote for her, not because of her, but because she's simply been nominated by Barack Obama. And they're going to be very, very wary of what the right part of their party is thinking about them this time. I think in the end, she will probably be confirmed, but I think it's going to be a very tough vote for a lot of Republicans, and I think it's going to take some time before they get to that final vote.
Nothing is easy or simple in Washington these days, Bob.
Nope.
All right.
You're right.
Bob Schieffer. Bob, thanks so much for your insight as always. There will be much more about the nomination of Elena Kagan to the U.S. Supreme Court on your local news on this CBS station, on CBSNews.com, and of course tonight on the CBS Evening News. I'm Katie Couric, CBS News, New York.
For news 24 hours a day, go to CBSNews.com.